Title: King Hezekiah and the Angelic Deliverance. A night of divine intervention. In the days of King Hezekiah, a shadow of darkness loomed over the kingdom of Judah. The powerful Assyrian Empire, under the rule of King Sennacherib, had set its sights on the land of Judah, determined to conquer its fortified cities and bring its people under subjugation. Chapter 1. The Threat of Assyria. The Assyrian Army, a formidable force renowned for its cruelty and conquests, swept through the surrounding nations like an unstoppable tide. Its relentless advance struck fear into the hearts of Judah's leaders and citizens alike. Hezekiah, the young and faithful king of Judah, inherited a kingdom in peril. He was a righteous king who did what was right in the eyes of the Lord, just as his father David had done. 2 Kings 18:3. Hezekiah knew that his only hope lay in seeking the favor of the Almighty God of Israel. Chapter 2. Hezekiah's Reforms. Hezekiah initiated a series of religious reforms in Judah, aimed at purging the land of idolatry and re-establishing the worship of the one true God. He ordered the removal of pagan altars and idols, cleansing the temple in Jerusalem, and restoring the Levitical priesthood to its rightful place. Under his leadership, the people of Judah rededicated themselves to the worship of Yahweh, the God of their ancestors. They celebrated the Passover with great fervor, rekindling their covenant with God. Chapter 3. The Threatening Letter. As Hezekiah strengthened his kingdom's spiritual foundation, King Sennacherib of Assyria turned his attention toward Judah. Sennacherib's envoy, an intimidating Rabshakeh, delivered a message of intimidation and defiance to the people of Jerusalem. The Assyrian envoy ridiculed Hezekiah's faith in God and boasted of Assyria's military might. Hezekiah, upon hearing the blasphemous words, tore his clothes, put on sackcloth, and entered the temple to seek the Lord's guidance. Chapter 4. Hezekiah's Prayer and Isaiah's Prophecy. Hezekiah's heartfelt prayer in the temple was an earnest plea for God's intervention in the face of impending disaster. He acknowledged God's sovereignty and pleaded for deliverance from the Assyrian threat, so that all the kingdoms of the earth may know that you, Lord, are the only God. 2 Kings 19:19. In response to Hezekiah's prayer, the prophet Isaiah received a message from the Lord. Isaiah assured Hezekiah that God had heard his prayer and that Sennacherib's army would not enter Jerusalem. Instead, the Lord would send a message, and, by the way that he came, he will return. He will not enter this city, declares the Lord. 2 Kings 19:33. Chapter 5. The Angelic Intervention. That very night, as the Assyrian army lay encamped around Jerusalem, the angel of the Lord went forth and struck down 185,000 Assyrian soldiers. The morning light revealed the staggering sight of the dead and the dying, a divine intervention of catastrophic proportions. Sennacherib, waking to the gruesome scene, retreated in haste to his capital Nineveh, where he would eventually meet his end. The once mighty Assyrian army, which had terrorized nations, had been decisively defeated by the hand of God. Chapter 6. Hezekiah's Thanksgiving and Prosperity. News of the miraculous deliverance spread throughout the land. Hezekiah, recognizing the hand of God in the salvation of Jerusalem, offered prayers of thanksgiving and made generous contributions to the temple, ensuring the continuation of worship in Judah. Under Hezekiah's reign, Judah experienced a period of prosperity and spiritual renewal. He established reforms in administration, built a reservoir to provide water for the city in times of siege, and expanded Jerusalem's defenses. The kingdom flourished, and its people lived in peace. Chapter 7. The End of Hezekiah's Reign. As Hezekiah's life drew to a close, he fell gravely ill. The prophet Isaiah delivered a message from the Lord, instructing the king to set his affairs in order, for he would not recover from his illness. Hezekiah, faced with the reality of his impending death, wept bitterly and prayed to the Lord for healing. In response to his fervent prayer, God granted him 15 more years of life, a miraculous extension of his days. Chapter 8. Hezekiah's Pride and the Babylonian Envoys. During his extended life, envoys from the distant nation of Babylon came to Jerusalem to visit King Hezekiah. Hezekiah, desiring to showcase his wealth and the splendor of his kingdom, welcomed the Babylonians and showed them the treasures of his palace. Isaiah, upon learning of this, prophesied that all the wealth displayed before the Babylonian envoys would one day be carried off to Babylon, along with some of Hezekiah's descendants. This prophecy would later be fulfilled in the days of Hezekiah's descendants during the Babylonian captivity. Chapter 9. Hezekiah's Legacy. Hezekiah's life and reign left an indelible mark on the history of Judah. His unwavering faith in God, his devotion to worship and reforms, and his courage in the face of the Assyrian threat demonstrated the power of seeking the Lord in times of crisis. His miraculous deliverance from the Assyrian army stands as a testament to God's faithfulness and the fulfillment of his promises. It serves as a reminder that, in moments of overwhelming adversity, God can intervene with supernatural might to protect and preserve his people. Chapter 10. Conclusion. The story of King Hezekiah and the angelic intervention is a powerful narrative of faith, prayer, and divine deliverance. It underscores the importance of turning to God in times of trouble and trusting in his sovereignty. Hezekiah's legacy as a faithful king and his experience of divine intervention continue to inspire believers today. His story serves as a reminder that God is the ultimate protector and deliverer, and his love for his people knows no bounds. In times of darkness and uncertainty, may we, like Hezekiah, turn to the Lord in faith and prayer, trusting in his power to bring deliverance and to fulfill his promises. For in him we find hope, strength, and the assurance of ultimate victory over every adversary.